What's going on, everyone? My name is SiahZ and welcome back to our critical damage magnetic salvo that I build. Now I'm going to be going through all the updates and changes that were happened to the build since the newest patch was introduced about 1 day ago, which is patch 0.1.0e, I think is what it's called. We're going to be going through all the stuff. Specifically, we are now full shock instead of cold because they now nerfed the way that refreezing works, and it really doesn't feel good now since we can't perma or almost perma refreeze enemies, including bosses. We're now hitting for more damage, our clear is now better, and we have a lot more crit chance, and it honestly feels a lot better now to be able to do breach and a lot of other hard endgame content to farm multiple divines an hour. Also, if you guys did enjoy the build guide or found the information useful throughout the video, if you could consider hitting that like and subscribe button, it really does help me. It lets me know you guys are enjoying these videos, and it helps with the YouTube algorithm immensely, and that currently is the best way to support me. I should also be live streaming on Twitch and maybe even YouTube right now. The links for that will be in the description as well as the comment section of this video, and you guys can join that if you want to ask me questions, hang out with me on stream, see some gameplay of the build, or anything like that. So with that being said, let's get into the full changes of the build. The first thing we're going to be going over is the gear. Now, not much has really changed here in terms of what we're looking for on it. The biggest change is we took out the cold to lightning damage ring, which is called the Brotherhood, and we actually just socketed that with another really good ring. Now, the reason why we did that obviously is because we're now full shock and we do not need to be converted to cold no more. On top of that, we did get a big upgrade with our bow. We got an expert dual string now is what we're looking for because we have the dex and level requirements to actually be running these. We're trying to look for increased fizz, added fizz, and one of the most important things that you can run on here and look for on a bow if you're running this build is increased critical hit chance. We're trying to get the highest critical hit chance on our bow because that plays into a big part of all of our increased stuff, is that basically is our base crit chance. Like I said, the higher of it, the better off we're going to be, especially considering our skills and magnetic salvo, since we require that to crit to actually do all the big damage. From there, attack speed, and if you can get crit damage bonus on it, even better. If you can get all those stats on a bow, that's absolutely god tier and mirror worth. For our quiver, still the same thing. We're looking for increased damage with bow skills. Critical hit chance again is pretty important because of our damage, and we're trying to crit with magnetic salvo. Increased attack speed, and then dex as well. You're going to need a little bit of dex just to get to that dex breakthrough of the actual expert dual string bow. And then, you know, obviously if you can get like added fizz or anything on that, it would be really huge as well for a quiver. Now for our helmet, we basically haven't really went for anything too insane, just a really good evasion helmet with a good life roll and then trying to get some reses. I did manage to get increased critical hit chance on the helmet, which is really nice considering, you know, that we're trying to basically have a whole crit build. So that plays really nicely into that. Our gloves are pretty bad. I need to buy and upgrade these and trade them out. The life roll is not bad on them, but obviously reses, and that's about all that it has. The evasion like rating on it is absolutely dog. So I need to change these out, get one with like attack speed, good life, and reses, and if I can, get like increased added fizz or something like that and a good evasion base on it. Now for our boots, we are looking for movement speed, life, and some reses. Getting all that on boots is really nice, especially a really high movement speed modifier or tier. This is just going to give the quality of life of the build even more, allowing us to clear more, allowing us to get more currency per hour because we're able to clear maps quicker with more move speed. So again, move speed, life, and reses is what we're looking for on boots. As far as our accessories go, I basically just bought 2 breach rings so I can get the intelligence required to run cast on shock. We're running that now for clearing. I'll get into more why once we get through the gem section. But basically we're looking for intelligence on the rings so we can get to that like 120, 130 int breakthrough, depending on what the level of the cast on shock is, as well as the ball lightning support. So that with reses and life is what we're looking for on basically both rings. Obviously if you can get added like physical damage on it, even like lightning isn't bad. Any added damage will just give us more. So it's pretty good there. For the amulet, again, I went with a solar for more spirit because we're going to need a good amount of spirit now to actually go ahead and run the cast on like shocks and the reservation skills and all that. So going for that, again, looking for reses and really good life rolls. And if you can get like increased crit chance or critical hit damage or even like added fizz or lightning or any flat added damage would be really good. For the bout, this is just one I picked up and crafted. I just wanted one with life and reses on it, and I got it. But obviously, you want to look for more charm slots, as now they are more common since the recent patch. So looking for life, reses, and more than one charm slot will allow us to run more charms, specifically like ones like grant immunity to frozen, one to get, you know, immune to bleed or something like that. Just going to get the survivability of the build up. Now, I might have skipped over the body armor. Basically, here is where we're going to get a majority of our spirit. You want to look for a body armor with a good amount of spirit as well as life, and anything else on it is an added bonus. I managed to get really good cold and fire res on it. with good evasion rating, and this is absolutely a multiple divines worth item. Obviously, you guys don't have to have one as good as this, but something that has spirit and life reses is what you're looking for, to really be able to run the high spirit cost of this build. Now that we have the gear out of the way, we can go to the gem section. Like I said, some stuff did change here because we're now full shock. Specifically, magnetic salvo, we're still running super crit for the more increased critical damage bonus, inevitable critical, so we can get more crit chance, specifically 100% more, which almost like doubles what we're doing with the skill for crit wise. So it's really big. And then we're running elemental focus now. It's going to give us 25% more LE damage, but it makes it where the skill can't inflict elemental ailments. We don't really care about that because we're not inflicting ailments with the skill. We have other skills to do that. This is just for the big bursty damage. So we're trying to get as much damage out of the skill as possible. So that's why we run it here. We're also running Primal Ardament now instead of Heft, because this gives us more damage. At least that's what the tooltip says, and what I've seen it does is what it feels like. So that's why we run it here instead of Heft now. For the lightning rods, some stuff did change because we're now running full shock, and we're taking full advantage of the brand new lightning cluster that was introduced in the game to allow us basically to apply that electrocution to instant perma almost stun enemies and bosses, which is really nice. We still kind of get that freeze, kind of, if you call it like that, because they're frozen and can't do anything. Basically the same thing, electrocution, they're stunned, they can't do anything for like 5 seconds. So it's almost the same as a freeze, and we have that without having any of the stuff with cold and all the increased stuff with shock. So we're running acceleration just to get the rods down quicker. Then we're running scatter shot again for more projectiles because we want more to be landing at a time, especially for magnetic salvo to be DPS bursting as well. Then we're running Heft to get more physical damage because this allows the skill to actually have a higher hit, which allows the electrocution buildup to be quicker. And then we are running electrocution support, or electrocute support. You need this to be able to apply electrocution, so we have to be running this in our setup. Then we're running lightning arrow. This is the big changes for the clear section. Now the reason why is because it just didn't really feel good in the higher tiers as well as breach to be throwing down the rods and then taking a few seconds to blow them up. You know, those few seconds of downtime can really just basically kill you, especially if we don't have any full AoE wide clearing consistently. So that's why we swapped to lightning arrow. That just allows us to throw the rods down and shoot lightning arrow for clearing, but we're still using magnetic salvo for 99% of our boss DPS. So with lightning arrow, we're running lightning exposure to basically, again, since we're running this now as our primary shock and clear and all that, we want lightning exposure to apply the explosion when we shock, which we basically always do with the skill. Lightning infusion just helps to get more lightning damage to shock enemies. Conduction, again, for more chance of shocking. And then martial tempo for more attack speed on the skill to make it feel better while clearing. Then we're running freezing salvo still with glaciation for more freeze buildup. Excise for more chance to critically hit with the skill to have a bigger increased freeze buildup if we do crit with it. And then magnified effect for more overlap damage. And it just is nice to try to get that AoE freeze on large packs since we have more AoE with the skill. We're still running escape shot. This is just our, oh no, I'm stuck, what do I do? And then you can just pop the skill to get out. We're still running Holy Descent on the skill as this gives us consecrated ground. And it's kind of nice to use this in some situations to get more HP back. If we don't have like pots up or whatever the other reason may be, but we mainly use the skills as just like a get out of jail free card. If we are basically getting trapped by enemies or we need to move through them, you know, we can just go ahead and do so. The supports for that are still, like I said, Holy Descent, Frost Nexus to create chill down if we freeze an enemy, and then Deep Freeze for more freeze if we do that. Then we get into our reservations, which is pretty much all changed besides like Wind Dancer. We're running Cast on Shock now, and like I said, the big reason for that is just for clearing. It does help in basically shock enemies, is that, you know, we run Ball of Lightning, which is 750% more chance to shock, but we're mainly running it for clearing, as this allows us to clear way harder content of the game, including, you know, like high tier breaches and juice breaches, rituals, and all that other stuff. It allows us to really do so, and really ups the clear once we're mapping as well. So again, Cast on Shock with Ball of Lightning. Then energy retention. This basically gives us a chance to refund half the energy when we cast Ball of Lightning, which is huge. Impetus, again, increased energy gain, which is really nice to get Ball of Lightning to be shooting out quicker. And then Inspiration to have less cost of actually shooting Ball of Lightning out with Cast on Shock. Then we replaced Herald of Ice with Herald of Thunder because we're now full shock and not ice or cold. So this is a way we actually get more benefit off of it. We're still running Blind to have a chance of blinding enemies. Then we're running Lightning Pens, just way Herald of Thunder does more damage once it's actually proccing. Really does help with clearing. And then we're running Enervate for more lightning damage on Herald of Thunder for the AoE clearing. Then we're running Wind Dancer still with Precision for more accuracy while the skill's active, which it always is. Then we're running pin. Again, if people don't know what it is, if we are max charges, wind ward will push enemies away, and then it will also pin them for a few seconds, allowing us to get out, reset, you know, kind of get distance or whatever we have to do, maybe pop a heal pot, and then we can just go ahead and kill them because they're stuck in place for a few seconds. Then we're running clarity. This gives us more mana regen, and we do have some mana issues with the build since we are running cast on shock, but this definitely does help alleviate that issue to the best of its ability. We're still running Voltaic Mark. This is going to give us more magnitude of shock on an enemy, and it really does help increase because the higher percent shock on an enemy, the more damage they take from all sources. Then we are running Arcane Tempo to get more cast speed on the Mark, as well as still persistence to have more duration on it. Then a quick overview of the skill tree. Some stuff did change for Ascendancy, at least though. We're still running Far Shot for the increased damage, Endless Munitions for our additional skill being fired, Gathering Winds, and then finally Windward. If you're leveling, you would go Gathering Winds into Far Shot, Endless Munitions, and Windward. Now we did already take some stuff, so we're not taking Blur because we don't need the invasion or movement speed no more, or dex. So we're taking all the points out there to free it up more on the actual tree. We're still taking the Master of Fletching to get all the increased bonuses to our quiver. Now we're grabbing Surging Currents now instead of taking Snowpiercer because we don't need any cold pen, we need lightning pen now. So the Surging Currents allows us to do that. Then we're basically going to go down and grab Catalyst. This gives us increased elemental damage with attacks. The other thing where physical damage from hits is taken as a random element, specifically 5% physical damage, we really don't care about that. It's cool, but we take it for the increased LE damage. We're going Death from Afar still, so this way we have more critical hit chance and damage against enemies further away than 6 meters. This really does help because we're playing a full distance build, so we're going to need as much crit chance as possible, especially for Magnetic Salvo. Then we're coming down and we're taking Frazzle to get more magnitude of shock to do even more damage the higher percentage it has. Then we're doing Maiming Strike, so this way we can get increased attack damage and then a chance to maim on hit, which basically maiming reduces their evasion and their accuracy. Then we're going to come down and take Acceleration for the increased move speed and skill speed, because skill speed really is nice for the build. Then we're going to come and take Sniper to get more critical hit chance the farther away enemies are, up to 60%, which is insane. If you have 2 more points, you would come over and take Feathered Fletching, as this just basically makes our increase in reduction of projectile speed. Also, it apply with damage with bows. So basically, if you have 30% increased projectile speed on our quiver, that means we're getting 30% more damage with bows, which is huge. From there, we're taking this whole crit cluster still. So Heartbreaking for increased critical damage bonus, I would Struck Through for 1% more base crit to attacks, and then Hard Stopping for 25% increased critical hit chance with attacks. So that is really huge there. Then we're taking Acrobatics, which makes us be able to evade all hits now. So basically before we couldn't evade like AoE hits and stuff like that, but now we can. So taking this, it does give us 70% less evasion, but if we have the evasion rating, we can get to like 50-60% chance to evade with Acrobatics. There's no reason not to take it, as it increases our tankiness and survivability a lot. From there, we're taking all these evasion nodes up to enhance reflexes to get the increased evasion rating, and the increased dex is huge. Still taking Beastal Skin because the basically 100% increased evasion rating from body armor, which basically means 2 times evasion rating from our body armor, is huge. Still taking all the dex stuff over into Falcon Technique for the increased attack speed per dex. Then we're taking this new Shock Cluster, which basically gives us increased lightning damage and increased Electrocute buildup. And since we're trying to do Electrocute with our lightning rods, this allows us to get a lot quicker buildup pretty quickly, and allows us to electrocute bosses and tanky rares. We're still taking Mental Toughness because this gives us reduced mana cost and does help with our mana issues a little bit, and the mana regeneration is nice. The last things we're going to take up here is General Electric to give us more chance to shock, which helps with the Lightning Arrow shock since we're not running Stormcaller no more. And the increased attack and cast speed is nice with lightning skills as well. Then we're taking Harmonic Generator, which gives us increased critical hit chance against shocked enemies, which is massive. And the increased magnitude of shock once we inflict crits is huge, because with Lightning Arrow, we're basically critting every like 3 or 4 lightning arrows. So that increased magnitude of shock is just going to give them more percent increased shock, which allows us to do more damage from all sources. From there, we're heading all the way down, and we're still taking Forces of Nature for more LE pen. Then we're taking Flash Storm for more pen against lightning resist. And then we're going and taking Tainted Strike, and we're following the bottom path. But we're taking Tainted Strike basically for more crit chance with attacks, which is really huge as well. And that is it. That wraps up the tree, that wraps up the gear, that wraps up the gems. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Like I said, I should be streaming right now on Twitch and maybe even YouTube. The links for that will be in the description as well as the comment section of this video. And if you guys do enjoy it, please definitely hit that like and subscribe button, because it helps me out a lot. Lets me know you guys enjoying these builds, and it helps with YouTube algorithm. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day and night depending on watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.